Princess Leora of Vylora moved quietly along the long silver hallway of the royal palace. Her steps soft and unsure. The bright crystals on the walls reflected gentle light, but even their warm glow could not remove the sadness from her eyes. She held her hands tightly together, trying to hide how they trembled. Everyone on Vylora was strong. Every child trained from a young age. Every citizen could run fast, lift heavy weights, and face danger with a brave heart. Their world was known across the galaxy for producing fearless warriors, except Leora. She was the daughter of King Thaloran, the ruler of Vylora. She carried the royal bloodline, but she did not carry the strength her people were famous for. Since childhood, she had been weak, unable to complete even the simplest physical tasks. While other younglings jumped across wide platforms, Leora struggled to climb small steps. When others practiced combat forms with perfect balance, she could barely hold a stance without falling. No matter how hard she tried, her body refused to match the expectations of her people. Whispered words always followed her through the palace halls, words she tried to ignore, but never could. She is too weak. She will never be a warrior. How can the king's daughter be like this? Leora lowered her head every time she heard such comments. She wanted to be strong. She wanted to make her father proud. But every day was a reminder of how different she was. That morning, King Thaloran had called her to the throne room. Leora had walked slowly, trying to think of why he wanted her. When she reached the entrance, she found not only her father waiting but also a group of unfamiliar figures, humans from Earth. Leora stood still. She had seen humans before in stories, but she had never met one. Her people respected humans for their sharp minds and unusual problem-solving skills. While Valorians were physically strong, humans were known for surviving difficult environments through patience, creativity, and discipline. One human stood slightly ahead of the group, a young man with calm eyes and a gentle expression. He looked around the throne room with interest, not fear. His name tag said Ethan Ward. Leora tried not to stare, but something about him felt different. His face looked peaceful, almost warm, yet she could not understand why he was here. King Thaloran rose from his seat, tall and imposing. His armor glowed with blue energy lines that showed his rank. But his face, when he looked at Leora, softened. "Daughter, come forward," he said gently. Leora obeyed. She walked until she was a few steps away from her father. She bowed slightly. "I am here, father." King Thaloran nodded, then turned toward the humans. "These are our visitors from Earth. They have come to help strengthen cooperation between our worlds." He paused for a moment, breathing slowly. "And one of them has been chosen for a very important task." Leora blinked. She did not understand. She looked at the humans again, confused. King Thaloran continued. "This is Ethan Ward, a specialist in training and discipline. He has experience guiding people who struggle to grow stronger." Leora's heart dropped. She suddenly realized where this conversation was going. Her breath caught in her throat. "He will be your personal guardian," her father said. The words hit her like a heavy stone. Her personal guardian? A human? Assigned to her? She felt every muscle stiffen. Her cheeks warmed with embarrassment. Many Valorians considered humans physically weaker. Why would her father choose a human to train her, his royal daughter? What would the palace think? What would the guards whisper now? Leora tried to keep her voice steady. "Father, I do not understand." King Thaloran looked at her with sad, honest eyes. "Leora, I have seen you try. I know your heart wants to grow stronger, but the training of our people does not suit you. It has only hurt your spirit." Leora lowered her head. Her father was not wrong. "This human," the king continued, "has methods that might help you. He uses balance, control, patience, things your body can learn without force." She felt her stomach twist. She was grateful her father cared, but she was also ashamed. Why couldn't she be strong like the others? Why did she need special methods? Ethan stepped forward slightly. His voice was calm and soft. "Princess Leora, I am honored to meet you. I will do my best to help you grow at your own pace." Leora didn't respond at first. She felt embarrassed, angry, and overwhelmed all at once. She kept her eyes on the floor and said nothing. King Thaloran noticed her discomfort. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "This is not punishment. It is a chance for you, daughter." Leora nodded slowly, though her heart was heavy. Later that afternoon, Leora met Ethan again on the training grounds, a large open area with smooth stone floors and tall pillars. The Valorian guards paused their exercises to watch. Some whispered quietly when they saw who Leora's new trainer was. Leora avoided their eyes. She could already imagine the comments they were thinking. Ethan stood in front of her with a relaxed posture. He carried no weapons, no armor, only simple training clothes. "Before we start," he said softly, "I want to know what you feel when you train." Leora looked at him, confused. "What I feel?" "Yes," Ethan said. "Do you feel fear? Pressure? Pain? Or maybe disappointment?" Leora was silent for a moment. No one had ever asked her such a question. Training on Vialora was always about performance, strength, and skill. No one had ever cared about feelings. I feel like I fail everyone," she admitted quietly. Ethan nodded gently. "Then we start from there." He asked her to stand with her feet apart. Not wide, not strong. "Good," he said. "Now breathe." Leora blinked. "Breathe?" Ethan smiled a little. "Yes. Deep and slow. This is important." Leora felt strange. Training on Valora usually began with running, jumping, lifting, or striking. But Ethan started by teaching her how to breathe correctly. As she followed his instructions, she noticed her heartbeat slowly calming. Her hands trembled less. "Balance starts in the mind," Ethan explained. "If your mind shakes, your body shakes. If your mind is steady, your body will follow." Leora listened closely. His voice was calm, and for the first time in a long while, she did not feel judged for being weak. He taught her how to shift her weight gently from one foot to the other, how to keep her shoulders relaxed, how to move without forcing her body. The movements were simple, almost too simple, but somehow they felt right for her. After an hour, Leora was surprised to realize she was not exhausted. She was actually enjoying the small progress she felt, but the guards watching from the side weren't impressed. She heard them whisper, "Is this real training? Humans train like this? No wonder they rely on tools." Leora felt embarrassment rise again. Her shoulders tensed. Her breathing became uneven. Ethan noticed immediately. "Don't listen to them," he said softly. "Progress begins quietly. Others only notice when it becomes loud." Leora looked at him. He didn't seem bothered by the whispers at all. He stood steady, calm, almost peaceful. She wondered how a man from a planet known for harsh environments could be so patient. Ethan stepped back. "Let's try a small movement. Just raise your arm slowly, hold it steady, then lower it." Leora tried. Her arm shook a little, but she managed. "Good," Ethan said with a warm smile. "Very good." Leora felt something she had not felt in a long time: hope. When the training session ended, the sun was setting, painting the sky with shades of purple. Leora stood quietly, feeling the cool breeze on her face. Ethan walked beside her. "You did well today," he said. Leora looked down shyly. It was very simple training, but it felt different. "That difference is where strength begins," Ethan replied. "Step by step, and..." Leora hesitated before speaking. "Do you think I can change, truly?" Ethan looked at her with calm, confident eyes. "Yes. I believe it. And more importantly, you will believe it too." Leora felt a small warmth grow inside her chest, something she had not felt in years. She realized Ethan did not see her as weak. He saw her as someone who could grow. As she walked back toward the palace, she glanced over her shoulder at Ethan one last time. He stood on the training grounds, watching the sky quietly, like a calm guardian who never rushed, never judged, never gave up. For the first time in her life, Leora wondered if her future might look different. For the first time, she felt she might truly change. And deep in her heart, a quiet voice whispered, Maybe I can become strong. The next morning, Princess Leora woke earlier than usual. Sleep still rested in her eyes, but her heart felt strangely light. She sat up slowly in her soft crystal bed and looked toward the large window. Sunlight poured into her room, warm and gentle, turning the palace towers outside into glowing shapes. For the first time in years, she did not wake with fear of training. She woke with curiosity. Her mind kept returning to Ethan's calm voice, his patient smile, and the small success she felt yesterday. It wasn't much, just breathing, balance, and small movements. But it was more progress than she had ever made using Valorian methods. She stood, stretched her arms, and felt her body move with a little more ease than usual. That alone surprised her. She smiled softly. Maybe today will be better, she whispered to herself. When she reached the training grounds, Ethan was already there, standing with his hands behind his back and looking up at the bright sky. He turned when he heard her steps. "Good morning, Princess," he said with a polite nod. Leora noticed that he looked exactly the same as yesterday, calm, relaxed, almost peaceful. His presence made the nerves inside her chest settle. "Good morning," she replied quietly. Ethan studied her face for a moment. "You look ready." Leora hesitated. I want to try again. I want to improve." A gentle smile appeared on Ethan's face. "Then we will continue." He lifted a small training device from the ground. It was a simple metal rod, with a round light at the tip. Leora stared at it, confused. "This is not a weapon," Ethan explained. "It's only for practice. When the light glows, you move. When it dims, you stop. It teaches reflexes and focus without force." Leora nodded slowly. All her life, Valorian training had been about strength and fast reaction. But Ethan's version of reaction training felt softer, more controlled. He held the rod in front of her. "Ready?" She nodded, taking a deep breath like he taught her. The light blinked softly. Leora stepped to the side. The light dimmed. She stopped. The light blinked again. She stepped forward. The movement felt almost like a dance. Her steps were small and careful, but she followed the rhythm well. After a few minutes, however, she lost focus. She missed a step and stumbled slightly. A few guards nearby snickered quietly. Leora's ears burned. She glanced at them, her confidence shaking. Ethan immediately stepped closer. "Don't look at them," he said firmly but calmly. "Look at me." Leora tried, but the whispers grew louder. "She can't even follow the light. Why give her a human trainer? Waste of time." Her chest tightened. Her breathing became uneven. Ethan noticed her tension instantly. He put the device aside and spoke in a softer voice. "Princess, training is not for them. It is for you." Leora tried to swallow her embarrassment. "But they are right. I'm still slow." Ethan shook his head. "Do you know how humans train children on Earth? They fall many times, but each time they stand, they improve. Falling is not failure, stopping is failure." Leora slowly lifted her eyes. Ethan continued, "Your progress is real. Yesterday you could barely steady your balance. Today you followed the motion almost perfectly. You grew stronger. Even if they don't see it yet." His words were simple, but they touched Leora deeply. No one had ever said such things to her. She nodded slowly. "Let's continue." Ethan smiled. "Good. That determination is strength." Training resumed. Ethan began teaching her new techniques: how to move through small circles drawn on the ground, how to shift weight without losing balance, how to keep her mind calm even when she made mistakes. Every time she trembled, he corrected her gently. Every time she hesitated, he encouraged her. Every time she improved, even a little, his smile told her he noticed. After some time, Ethan introduced another exercise. He placed smooth stones on the ground, spaced unevenly. "This is a human-style balance path," he explained. "Walk across it without rushing. Feel every step." Leora stared at the stones. They weren't tall, but there were many of them, and they were arranged in a way that required careful movement. She took a breath and stepped onto the first stone. It wobbled slightly. She steadied herself. Ethan watched quietly, his expression calm. Leora stepped to the second stone, then the third. Her arms stretched out for balance. Her legs trembled a little, but she did not fall. Halfway across, she lost focus for a moment and nearly slipped. A small gasp escaped her lips. "Breathe," Ethan reminded her gently. She listened. She closed her eyes for 1 second, inhaled deeply, and opened them again. The stones no longer felt frightening. She stepped again, right foot, left foot, one stone at a time. When she reached the final stone, she could hardly believe it. Her chest filled with pride. She looked back at Ethan, surprised. "I did it." He nodded with a proud smile. "Yes, and you did it well." Leora's heart warmed. It had been so long since she heard someone say she did well. After a short break, Ethan taught her controlled stepping exercises. Leora repeated them again and again. Sweat gathered on her forehead, but she continued. She wanted more improvement, more progress. "Your balance has already changed," Ethan said. "Your steps are lighter." Leora blinked in surprise. "You can see that?" "Of course. I notice everything. A good trainer watches even the smallest details." Leora felt a soft flutter in her chest. Someone was watching her progress, not her failures. She practiced until her legs felt tired. But the tiredness was different now. It was not pain or shame. It was the feeling of a body slowly learning new skills. When she finally sat down to rest, she noticed the palace guards watching her again. But this time, their expressions were not mocking. They looked confused, maybe even impressed. Ethan offered her a cup of water. She accepted it, breathing slowly. "You worked hard today," he said. "Harder than yesterday." Leora looked at her hands. They still trembled slightly, but not as much as before. "It felt good," she said honestly. "That is how progress feels," Ethan replied. Later, Ethan brought her to a quiet corner of the training grounds, away from curious eyes. There he placed 2 wooden sticks on the ground. "These are not for fighting," he said. "Not yet. They are for form." Leora nodded and waited for instructions. Ethan demonstrated a simple movement with the stick, lifting it, turning the wrist, then lowering it. "Copy this," he said gently. Leora tried. Her motion was slow and shaky at first, but she followed his steps. Again, again, again. With each repetition, the stick felt a little lighter. Her wrist felt more stable. Her form began to look more controlled. Ethan stepped beside her and adjusted her elbow gently. "Keep this straight. It helps balance." Leora adjusted it. The movement felt smoother now. "You learn fast," Ethan said. Leora looked at him, surprised. "No one has ever said that to me." "Then they were not paying attention," Ethan replied simply. Leora's chest tightened with emotion she didn't understand. She looked away, trying not to let the feeling overwhelm her. As the sun lowered across the horizon, painting the sky orange and red, Leora and Ethan completed their final session of the day. Leora tried the balance stones again, this time faster. She walked across with fewer trembles. Ethan watched silently, and when she finished, she felt a rush of pride. She then repeated the light blink exercise. Her reactions were sharper now. She moved with purpose, not fear. Even the guards had stopped whispering. Some stood still, watching with quiet surprise. A few even nodded faintly. Leora noticed it. For once, their stares did not hurt her. She felt seen. She walked toward Ethan, slightly breathless but smiling. "Today was better than yesterday." Ethan nodded. "And tomorrow will be better than today." Leora hesitated before speaking. "Ethan, thank you." He shook his head gently. "You are the one doing the work. I am only guiding you. But your guidance makes everything different," she said softly. Ethan smiled, calm, warm, and proud. "Leora, every person has a path. Yours starts here, with steady steps. Soon, you will walk faster. Then, you will run. And one day, you will stand in places you never imagined." Leora felt her heart swell with hope. She believed him. She truly believed she could change. As she walked back toward the palace that evening, the air felt fresher. Her body felt lighter. Her mind felt clearer. She whispered to herself, "I want to become strong. I will become strong." And somewhere behind her, Ethan watched her leave with a calm, proud smile, knowing that the real transformation had already begun. Princess Leora walked toward the training grounds with a new kind of energy in her steps. Every morning now felt different. She no longer carried dread in her chest. Instead, she carried hope, soft at first, but growing stronger each day. The sky above Valora was bright and clear. The twin suns rose slowly, casting gentle light across the palace walls. The crystal towers reflected the morning glow in shining colors. Leora breathed deeply, feeling the cool air fill her lungs. Her body still had weaknesses, but she could feel change beginning inside her. Her balance had improved. Her breathing was steadier. Her steps felt more controlled. Even her heart felt stronger. When she reached the training grounds, Ethan was already there. He stood with his usual calm posture, hands behind his back, observing the open area like a peaceful guardian. When he noticed her arrival, he smiled softly. "Good morning, Leora," he said. Leora felt warmth inside her chest whenever he said her name. It was gentle, respectful, no judgment, no pressure. "Good morning," she replied, a little breathless from excitement. Ethan studied her expression. "You seem eager today." "I am," she admitted. "I practiced last night. I want to improve faster." Ethan nodded approvingly. "Training with your own motivation is the strongest kind of training." Leora smiled proudly. "The day's training begins." Ethan started the session with a new exercise. He placed wooden blocks across the ground, each one slightly taller than the last. "This will help your ability to shift weight smoothly," he explained. Leora nodded and stepped onto the first block. It was low and easy, but the next block was a little higher. She lifted her foot carefully, keeping her balance. She moved from block to block, her arms stretched out for stability. Halfway through, she wobbled. Her heart jumped, but Ethan's calm voice anchored her. "Slow, breathe. Feel where your weight is." She inhaled deeply, let her shoulders relax, and stepped again. The wooden block felt easier now. Soon, she reached the last one. "I did it," she said, surprised at her own progress. "You did it well," Ethan replied. "Your control improves every day." His approval made her smile widely. The turning point, a sudden danger. Leora and Ethan moved to another area of the grounds to practice reaction exercises. Leora was focused, moving quickly whenever Ethan signaled, stopping instantly when he lowered his hand. She felt sharper than ever before. But the calm training atmosphere broke suddenly. A loud alarm echoed across the grounds. The guards nearby froze, then looked toward the forest area that surrounded part of the palace. Ethan's expression turned serious. "That alarm means a creature has entered a restricted zone." Leora's heart tightened. Valora had some dangerous wildlife, and the palace kept strong barriers to prevent them from entering. A group of young trainees, children barely 10 seasons old, were practicing near that forest edge today. Leora looked at Ethan, fear rising in her eyes. "The children, they are out there." Before Ethan could reply, a guard shouted from across the field. "A creature broke through the barrier. It's heading toward the trainees." Panic rushed through Leora. Without thinking, she ran toward the forest. "Leora, wait," Ethan called, running after her. But Leora didn't stop. She couldn't. All her life she had been protected, sheltered, pushed behind stronger warriors. But now there were children in danger, and she was closer to them than any guard. Even if she wasn't fully strong yet, she had to try. Facing the fear, Leora reached the training field where the younglings were gathered. A few instructors were trying to guide them away, but the children were frightened and confused. She saw the creature approaching through the tall grass. It wasn't huge, but it was fast, and it moved unpredictably. Its movements made the younger ones panic more. Leora felt fear rise inside her. Her legs trembled. Her heart beat painfully fast. For a moment, she froze. Then she heard Ethan's voice behind her, steady and calm. "Leora. Breathe." She inhaled sharply, her mind focused. "Remember your training," Ethan said, standing just a step behind her. "Observe. Do not panic. Move with intention." Leora focused her eyes on the creature. It wasn't rushing at her. It was confused and defensive, likely scared itself. It reacted to movement, not sound. She lifted her hand and gestured to the younglings. "Move slowly behind me," she said, her voice surprisingly firm. The children hesitated, but her tone carried unexpected authority. They began stepping backward carefully. The creature flicked its head toward the movement. Leora stepped sideways, drawing its attention away from them. Ethan stayed close, but he did not step in front of her. He let her take the lead, something no one had ever done before. Leora's legs shook slightly, but she remembered the breathing Ethan had taught her. Calm in, calm out. She stepped to the side, guiding the creature's focus away from the children. Every movement she made was controlled, slow, intentional. "Good," Ethan murmured behind her. "You are in control." Those words gave her courage she didn't know she had. Protecting the younglings. The children reached safety, moving behind a group of guards who had finally arrived. But Leora still stood between the creature and the others. Ethan watched her closely. He was ready to intervene, but only if she faltered. He trusted her progress more than she realized. The creature inched closer, confused by her calm stance. Leora slowly backed away, guiding it toward the open field where the guards could surround it safely. She didn't raise her hands aggressively. She didn't shout. She moved with balance and confidence. Just like Ethan taught her, when she reached the open area, the guards were ready. They gently redirected the creature toward the forest until it retreated back into the trees. Only when the danger passed did Leora finally let out a long breath she had been holding. Her legs suddenly weakened. She nearly fell. Ethan caught her arm gently before she could lose her balance. "You did it," he said softly. Leora looked up at him with disbelief. I helped them. You saved them," Ethan corrected. "You guided them with calm strength. That is what a true warrior does." Leora's eyes filled with emotion. She had acted out of instinct and courage, not fear. For the first time, she understood what her father and her people meant when they spoke of warrior spirit, and she finally felt it inside her, a new understanding. The guards approached her with stunned expressions. Some bowed slightly. Others murmured to each other. That was the princess. She stood firm. She guided the creature. Impossible. Leora felt shy under their stares. She wasn't used to positive attention. King Thalarin himself rushed to the field moments later, his expression full of worry. When he saw Leora safe, his shoulders relaxed. "Leora," he said, moving quickly to her side. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "No, father. I'm safe. The children are safe too." The king turned to Ethan with gratitude. "Thank you for protecting her." Ethan shook his head. "Today, she protected others. I only followed." The king looked at Leora with surprise and admiration. "Is that true?" Leora looked down modestly. "I just did what needed to be done." King Thalarin placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "I am proud of you." Hearing those words made her heart swell. She had waited so long for them. Her resolve strengthens. Later that evening, after the palace had calmed and the suns had set, Leora and Ethan stood quietly near the balcony overlooking the glowing city. Leora watched the lights below, her mind still full of the day's events. "Ethan," she said softly, "today I felt something new, something strong inside me." "That is your true strength," he replied. "Not physical power, inner control, courage, and clarity." Leora nodded. "I don't want this feeling to fade. I want to grow more. I want more training, harder training." Ethan looked at her with a calm but proud smile. "Then we begin a new phase tomorrow." Leora's voice carried determination she had never felt before. I don't want to be weak again. I want to stand on my own. Truly stand, Ethan nodded. And you will. I promise. Leora looked at the night sky. She no longer felt small or helpless. She felt like someone beginning a journey, someone who had a future she could shape herself. For the first time in her life, Leora believed she could become a warrior. And deep inside, something powerful awakened, ready for the next step. The suns rose over Vialora, with a soft golden light, spreading warmth across the royal city. The tall crystal towers glowed gently as morning arrived. Princess Leora stepped out onto the balcony outside her room, breathing deeply. The air felt calm, her heart felt steady. Weeks had passed since the day she guided the frightened children away from danger. That moment had changed everything for her, for Ethan, and for the entire palace. People who once whispered about her weakness now watched her with new eyes. Some with respect, some with curiosity, a few with disbelief. But Leora didn't train to impress them. She trained to discover who she truly was. And with each passing day, her confidence grew. Training enters a new stage. That morning, she walked to the training grounds with determination in her steps. Ethan awaited her, as he always did. Standing calmly with his hands behind his back, his posture steady like a peaceful mountain. When she approached, he noticed the new strength in her expression. You look focused, he said. I am, she replied. I'm ready for today. Ethan nodded and motioned toward the field. Today your training changes. You've mastered balance, calmness, and controlled movements. Now we begin coordinated precision. Leora listened carefully as he laid out wooden staffs and lightweight practice shields, simple tools, yet meaningful for the next stage. We are not preparing for battle, Ethan explained. We are preparing for confidence. These tools help guide your movements, not force them. Leora nodded and picked up the wooden staff. It felt different in her hands now, not heavy, not frightening. Familiar. Like an old friend, she finally understood. Ethan demonstrated a series of basic forms, simple sweeps, pivots, and turns. He moved slowly, giving her time to observe each detail. When he finished, he stepped aside. Your turn. Leora lifted the staff, inhaled deeply, and repeated the form. Her movements were slow at first, but steady. Her feet stayed planted. Her breathing was controlled. Her body followed her mind with surprising ease. Good, Ethan said quietly. Again. She repeated the form. And again. And again. Each time smoother. Each time more fluid. Soon, she moved with a quiet grace that made even passing guards pause and watch. She no longer seemed like the princess who stumbled. She looked like someone on a journey toward mastery, a challenge from the rival clan. Later that same afternoon, a message arrived in the palace, one that carried tension and uncertainty. A representative from the Ravaran clan, an old rival of Vaelora, requested an audience with King Thalarin. Rumor spread quickly around the palace. The Ravaran clan believed the royal line was weakening. They saw Leora's childhood struggles as proof that the king's bloodline had lost its strength. When the representative arrived, he spoke boldly in the throne room. Your daughter is weak, he declared. Your kingdom needs a warrior. If you cannot prove your strength, our clan will challenge your rule. King Thalarin kept his expression calm, though anger flickered behind his eyes. My daughter is growing stronger each day. Thanks for watching. And for this live, my daughter is growing stronger each day. The representative smirked. Words are easy, but strength must be shown. The challenge was clear. Vaelora needed to prove that the royal family still carried the spirit of warriors. The council murmured nervously. Some felt Leora was not ready. Others feared the Ravaran clan would spread doubt among the people. Leora stood hidden behind one of the pillars near the throne room entrance. She had heard everything. Her heart pounded, not with fear, but with purpose. She stepped forward. I will stand. The entire throne room fell silent. Every head turned toward her. The Ravaran representative laughed quietly in disbelief. King Thalarin's eyes widened. Leora, I am ready, father, she said, her voice steady. Let me prove that our line has not weakened. Ethan stood near the entrance, watching quietly. His eyes held pride, not worry. The Ravaran representative studied Leora and raised a brow. Very well. If you wish to prove yourself, show us your strength tomorrow at dawn. He left with a smirk, confident she would fail. But Leora did not feel fear. She felt calm determination. Night before the test. Later that evening, Leora stood on the palace balcony, looking over the glowing city. Ethan walked up beside her. You chose a difficult path, he said gently. I know. Leora replied. But I am not the same person I was before. I want to show my people who I truly am. Leora. I want to show my people who I truly am. Ethan nodded. Then tonight, rest your mind. Tomorrow, trust your training. You do not need brute force. You only need control, awareness, and confidence. Leora turned toward him, her eyes soft. Thank you. For everything. Without you, I would still be lost. Ethan shook his head slightly. You found your own strength. I simply showed you the door. Leora smiled small, but full of meaning. She went to sleep that night peacefully, knowing dawn would be her moment, the test of confidence. When the first light of the suns touched the training arena, a large crowd gathered. Warriors, council members, and even younglings stood around the circular field. The air buzzed with anticipation. Leora stepped onto the field wearing simple training clothes, not heavy armor. She held the wooden staff. Ethan had given her not a weapon of war, but a symbol of her journey. Across the field stood a Ravaran warrior, tall, strong, confident. But Leora did not look at his strength with fear. She looked with clarity. Ethan stood at the edge, watching. His presence gave her comfort. A signal horn sounded. The challenge began. The Ravaran warrior stepped forward quickly, testing her skill. Leora moved aside with smooth precision, avoiding contact with ease. Her breathing remained steady. The crowd gasped softly. The warrior circled her, surprised she didn't stumble. He moved faster this time. Leora responded with calm steps, turning, sidestepping, shifting her weight exactly like Ethan taught her. Her movements were not loud or aggressive. They were quiet, controlled, intelligent. The warrior tried a quick strike. Leora blocked it gently with her staff, using a turn of her wrist, redirecting the force instead of stopping it. Gasps spread through the crowd. Even the Ravaran representative leaned forward, shocked. Leora continued to guide the warrior's movements, using balance rather than power. Every time he pushed forward, she stepped aside with perfect timing. Every time he attacked, she redirected him. Her movements looked simple, but they were precise, too precise for him to overpower. Ethan watched proudly. She's ready, he whispered. Finally, the Ravaran warrior rushed in with a strong move. Leora stayed calm. She pivoted her foot, swept her staff low across his arm, not to hurt him, but to throw him off balance. He stumbled and fell to one knee. The crowd went silent. Leora did not attack further. She stepped back, holding the staff steady, her breathing calm. The warrior looked up at her, disbelief in his eyes. She had not won through strength. She had won through skill and discipline. The Ravaran representative stood slowly. He stared at Leora with shock. This, he began, his voice strained. This is not the princess we heard of. King Thaloran stepped forward proudly. This is my daughter, a warrior of Valora. The representative bowed his head slightly in respect. Your line is stronger than we believed. Our challenge is withdrawn. The crowd erupted in relieved cheers. Some guards even clapped. The younglings waved excitedly, pointing at Leora with admiration. For the first time in her life, the palace looked at her not with pity but with pride. A new beginning. When the arena finally emptied, Leora walked toward Ethan. Her heart felt light, her steps steady and proud. You did it, Ethan said with a gentle smile. No, Leora replied softly. We did it. Ethan shook his head. I guided. You transformed. That strength was always yours. Leora looked at her hands, remembering how they once trembled. Today, they felt steady. "I never thought I could become this person," she whispered. Ethan stepped beside her, looking out toward the horizon. "Every person has hidden strength. Sometimes they just need someone to believe in them first." Leora smiled warmly. "Then I will spend the rest of my life honoring the strength you helped me discover." She stood tall, her heart full of quiet pride. She was no longer the weak princess who feared failure. She was a young woman who had faced her fear, protected others, and stood before her people with confidence. She was a warrior now shaped not by force, but by patience, balance, courage, and the steady guidance of a human who believed in her. The suns shined brightly over Valora as Leora and Ethan walked back toward the palace. A new journey had begun.